Simon Garfield. I'm the author of, I'm thrilled to say, Waterstones Book of the Month this month, October. On the Map is, well, it's a book about sort of the history of cartography, but it's only 450 pages long, so it's very selective as well. It's just good tales about my favourite maps, really, I think is the easy way of doing it. But it also looks at, I mean, it comes at a very opportune time, which is, I walk around now, you know, I shouldn't admit it, looking at my phone if I'm lost, especially if I'm in a country that I don't know about. We have sat-navs in our car, and the world has gone, you know, cartographically digital as well as everything else. So it's really to look at what we've lost, and to sort of stress the importance of mapping as a kind of a key and a tool to looking at what makes us human and a way of telling our history as well. I mean, it's interesting that the kind of theme of the Cheltenham Fair Festival this year is power very much, and I think maps are, you know, maps do many things, and one of them is sort of it's transmit levels of power, and it's, you know, for one of the bad phrase, it's a way that people showed off, and it showed off not only what they owned and what they ruled, but also traditionally what they knew, you know. So it is that classic thing, knowledge is power, and you see that very much. I mean, you know, classically in the golden age of exploration, in the, you know, from the 15th century onwards, really, and then for the next 200 years. But then you see it very much when people commissioned their own maps as, I own this land, and often they had to do it for tax reasons, to show, you know, I've got to pay the tax on this. But it really was a kind of, this is, you know, this is me. This is myself putting myself on the map. You know, I've made this, or I've inherited this in some cases, obviously. And so it's yeah, you know, power runs all the way through maps. And you know, you look at, you know, the fiasco of Apple Maps and stuff as well, and you kind of think, okay, well, what does that prove? Above everything else, it proves that Google Maps are the most powerful, you know, mapping force in the world. We do feel entitled, I think, to maps and good mapping, and that's something that I think is, again, another result of, you know, the digital kind of world, digital progress, is that as soon as maps became free on phones, then we sort of had a, you know, we kind of thought, okay, this is just another tool that we're always going to have with us. And there's a lot of controversy about OS maps, you know, Ordnance Survey, who really owns it. We sort of, as a taxpayer, we sort of own it, and yet we still have to pay for maps, and there's that's another kind of power battle, I suppose. And then the whole, you know, when it goes wrong, we feel sort of what, you know, as I said, you know, the whole Apple Maps thing is extraordinary. And you have no choice. As soon as you either buy a new iPhone 5 or you've upgraded to the new system, you kind of think, where are the Google Maps that work so well? Why do I have kind of a fishmonger in my back garden all of a sudden? You know, that sort of very weird kind of thing. And it's something that people really feel. I think people feel that it's very much a lost cause now as well. That although we're very much at the centre of maps, and it used to be Jerusalem, or, you know, a place in China if you lived in China, or Britain and France at the centre of our empires. Now it's just us. And so we sort of feel betrayed if we don't get told where to go, you know, and if the things don't load properly or whatever as well. So there's a kind of, there's a chapter in the book which I call the sort of, you know, the always-on me mapping of everywhere, which is a kind of Tom Wolfe-ian kind of title in a way, you know. But that's exactly it. It's become a sort of real kind of ego thing. We are at the centre of all maps, and and we you know, as I said, we feel sort of entitled to know where we are at all times. It's funny, I mean, the last book I did was just my type, and actually at the talk now, someone said, did you know, when you were doing your map book, did you take great care of the type, and you know, why did you choose this over that? And I explained actually that the design, I let the designer, because he's a fantastic designer called James Alexander, sort of take control over what would work for this. I was very concerned about the illustrations, obviously, that it looked great and it was very legible, the whole thing, obviously. And my big concern was that we did credit the typeface in the prelims, you know, in the early pages, and said it's Bembo Book and Archer, and I kind of thought it would have been a tragedy had we not done that. But no, obviously, terribly important to be able to, you know, read the places on the map. I think if I had a personal favourite, it would be handwritten in a wonderful calligraphic writing from, I mean, one of the most famous ones, because I know it through the London Tube map, the early London Tube maps pre-Beck. A lot of them were done by MacDonald Gill, who was Eric Gill's brother, and very beautiful design. And he also did things like a map of tea, the routes of tea going all over the world, and he did something called the kind of Wonderland map of London as well, which is a kind of glorious thing, and that kind of script font. I mean, it doesn't work for everything. It wouldn't work on our phones, that's for sure. But no, I think if I had a choice, I'd want, you know, as much variety as possible in the choice of type on maps. But it's, you know, again, that is being narrowed down as well. Actually, you know, we now really get very, very little choice, because it's a choice of what works on a screen, you know, this big, really. Unfortunately, I think I would probably say any bookshop now. You know, you're pleased to see any bookshop, whether it's Waterstones. And this, I'm not sure how this will sound, but I'm going to say it anyway. I live now near Hampstead Heath, and the bookshop that I grew up with, and once I won a school prize, and you were allowed to go to the local bookshop and choose a book, and it's a great, you know, great thing, and you want to impress people. It's a book you probably will never read, and I chose something called The Romans in Britain or something, and it's like, it's there, the spine hasn't cracked yet, and I had to go to a place called the High Hill Bookshop. When Waterstones came along, Waterstones was seen as the real kind of bad boy, the kind of the evil force. Even though it's a beautiful shop and places you could sit and relax and really browse, and knowledgeable booksellers as well, there was this kind of whole thing of, oh God, you know, and then there was another chain. And Hampstead was very early, and there was a chain, and then Waterstones kind of took over in England, and there was this kind of thing, and now, of course, you're so pleased that Waterstones is there, because of the whole kind of e-book phenomenon. You just want any bookshops, you know. So it's a kind of a joy. So I like, anyway, I have this mixed feeling as a writer. I have always a mixed feeling whenever I go into any bookshop. I always feel two things, but not always at the same time. Sometimes I go into a bookshop and I think, what on earth am I doing? There are all these wonderful books already. Why does anyone need another kind of book, really, in a way? And also, you know, you know, beautiful jackets, and then at the beginning of the book you have to go up this big hill as well. I mean, I love writing, and I love, you know, I'm so thrilled that I can earn a living from writing. But this whole thing of, you know, okay, here we go again. But actually, there are already in any Waterstones, any bookshop, there are 200 books that you might want to buy already. So I feel that, and then sometimes I just think, I just feel utterly inspired. I think this is what I want to do. I want to be part of this world and this gang, and you know, how lucky I am to you know, be able to have that privilege.